sanctuary holds the last amber of the dying day, where the long shadows of the Gothic arches stretch like fingers seeking a benediction across the empty pews. It is 7 o'clock, the hour of the vesper breath, when the world outside slows its frantic pulse, and the stone walls begin to hum with the quiet resonance of a gathering hunger. We come with no coin in our translucent palms, our pockets lined only with the lint of failed ambitions, and the heavy dust of a week spent bartering our souls for bread that does not satisfy. The air is thick with the scent of beeswax and the cooling stone, a sacred silence that prepares the way for the first sustained note of the harmonium. We are the weary, the evening comers, the ones who waited until the light was almost gone to seek the wellspring that does not fail. Why do you spend your strength upon the parched earth, tilling the salt flats of vanity, while the river of the covenant flows unheeded behind the veil? The invitation is a low melodic ache, an ancient resonance from the scrolls of the prophet, carried on the breath of a choir that sings not for glory, but for survival. Come to the water, not as a conqueror seeks a spring to claim, but as the cracked clay of the desert seeks the monsoon's first mercy. There is no price for the saturation. The vintage of the kingdom is poured for the penniless, and the milk of divine kindness flows for the one who has nothing left to trade. We stand in the dimming day, our voices weaving a tapestry of longing, a John Foley melody that rises like incense, soft-edged and earthen, catching the spirit of the St. Louis woods and the Jesuit heart, where the word is not a weapon, but a cool draught. Listen to the cadence of the drought breaking as the choir breathes together, a singular organism of faith, exhaling the promises of Isaiah into the darkening vault. Every syllable is a drop of rain hitting the sun-baked stones of our cynicism. You who are hollow-eyed from the pursuit of shadows, you who have built cisterns that can hold no water, come and lean your forehead against the cool rim of this mystery. The water is more than a metaphor, it is the liquid grace that smoothed the jagged edges of the world at the first dawn, now flowing through the small flickering candles of a Sunday night. We sing to the God who bends the heavens to touch the parched tongue, the God who does not demand a ledger of our worthiness, but only the honesty of our thirst. The music shifts like a slow tide, dragging the silt of our anxieties out into the deep, leaving only the clean sand of a quieted mind. How beautiful is the paradox of the free gift, that the most precious element of the soul's geography is offered to the one who has spent everything and remained empty. We find ourselves reflected in the font, our faces blurred by the ripples of our own songs, recognizing that we are all brothers and sisters in this divine irrigation. The choir's harmony is the sound of many streams converging into a single peaceful delta, where the salt of our tears is lost in the sweetness of the living flow. It is 7 p.m. and the world is dark, but the interior of this temple is a garden being watered in secret, a hidden oasis where the prophet's voice becomes the cantor's prayer. As the final notes linger in the rafters, clinging to the mahogany and the stained glass like dew, we realize that the water has moved from the lyrics into our very marrow. We are no longer the dry bones of the valley, but a people saturated with the promise that the word will not return void, but will prosper in the purpose for which it was sent. The rain and the snow come down from heaven to seed the earth, and so this hymn has seeded the furrows of our fatigue. We leave the sanctuary as vessels fill to the brim, carrying the quiet roar of the river back into the streets, back into the coming week, knowing that the source is eternal and the invitation is forever echoing in the twilight. Come to the water, come to the feast, come and live. The amber wick of the 7th hour trembles against the cooling stone of the nave, where the day exhales its final gilded breath. We stand in the gathering gloaming, not as masters of the morning, but as stewards of the twilight, carrying the residue of the week's dust upon our sandals, and the weight of our brother's silence within our own throats. There is a specific gravity to this Sunday evening, the density of spirit that Richard and Betty once captured in the simplicity of a wooden flute and a heart laid bare. It is the geometry of the basin and the towel, the architecture of the bended knee that defines our gathering here beneath the vaulted shadows. We are a tapestry of callous palms and weary eyes, woven together by the singular thread of a promise that we shall not walk the jagged path of the world in isolation. The air is thick with the scent of extinguished beeswax and the lingering echo of the Gloria. Yet here in the quietude of the 7 p.m. choir, the music becomes a living sinew, a ligament of grace that binds the broken to the whole. To be the servant is to relinquish the ivory tower of the self and descend into the fertile valley of the other. It is to recognize that the Christ light we carry is not a torch for our own illumination, but a lantern held steady for the one whose oil has run dry in the thickets of despair. We look across the pews and see not strangers, but reflections of a shared fragility, a communion of pilgrims whose only map is the cadence of a common heartbeat. The harmony we seek is not found in the perfection of the note, but in the vulnerability of the breath, the way a soprano's plea nests within the baritone's resolve. We are learning the difficult vernacular of the foot washer, the syntax of the one who stands behind the burden of a friend to push when the incline becomes too steep. In this sacred space, the boundaries of the ego dissolve like incense in the rafters, leaving only the raw essence of a people who have decided that to lead is to follow, and to possess is to give away. Listen to the subterranean resonance of the wood, the way the benches groan under the weight of 100 different sorrows and 1,000 whispered hopes. The Gillard melody is of sighing timber, spanning the chasm between the divine and the mundane, reminding us that the highest liturgy is found in the lowest service. We sing not to the rafters, but to the person beside us, our voices interlocking like the fingers of a desperate prayer. It is an evening of profound surrender, where the frantic noise of the commercial week is silenced by the rhythmic peace of the servant's path. We are the guardians of each other's shadows, the keepers of the flame, in the windswept canyon of the soul. When one of us stumbles on the flint of bitterness, the choir does not stop. It merely softens, creating a hollow of sound, where the fallen might rest until the strength to rise returns to their limbs. As the moon ascends to claim the zenith of the dark, our gathering becomes a sanctuary of the submissive will. There is no vanity in this 7 p.m. light, only the translucent truth of the gospel made flesh in the act of being present. We are the clay and the potter's hand simultaneously, being shaped by the very service we offer to the world. Each stanza is a commitment to stay when the others flee, to speak when the world demands silence, and to weep when the joy of our neighbor is too heavy for them to celebrate alone. This is the monumental quiet of the servant's song, a quiet that roars louder than the cathedrals of stone, because it is built from the living stones of human compassion. We exit into the night, not as those who have finished a performance, but as those who have been recharged at the source of all empathy, ready to be the hands that heal and the feet that carry the message of all an unyielding and sacrificial love into the cold corners of the coming Monday. The first vibration strikes the narthex wall, where the gray dust of exhaustion has settled over the years. And the initial melody is a draft of cool air through a heavy bronze door. It begins not with a shout, but with the click of a rosary against a wooden pew, and the slow, deliberate ignition of a beeswax taper. This is the first song of the 8, a respiration for the breathless, where the lungs of the soul are invited to expand against the corset of old sorrows. We speak here of the morning of the optic nerve, when the stained glass finally catches a fractured sunbeam and turns a monochromatic grief into a kaleidoscope of ruby and sapphire. The healing starts in the retinas as they learn to see the architecture of a sanctuary that was built to outlast the tremor of our hands. Underneath the vaulted arches, the second movement rises as an unction of scented chrism and crushed hyssop. It is the hymn of the tactile oil sliding over the forehead to seal the cracks in the intellect where doubt has leaked in like winter rain. Here the choir hums a low sustained drone that mimics the steady pulse of a sleeping heart finally at peace. There is no jagged rhythm here, only the smooth surface of a silver painting reflecting the face that has forgotten how to smile. The music pulls the shrapnel of regrets from the muscle tissue of the spirit and replaces the iron with the softness of white linen, washed in the waters of a distant Jordan. It is the melody of the mendicant who finds a feast in a single crumb of hope. The third invocation is a polyphony of the ancestors, where the voices of the choir become a ladder of interlocking intervals. Each note is a stone in a cathedral wall supporting the weight of the note above it. This is the song of collective endurance, where the individual ego is submerged into the resonant body of the church. We sing of the communion of the broken, where every fracture in one soul is reinforced by the wholeness of another. The harmony is complex and dense, like the interlacing branches of a cedar of Lebanon, providing shade for the weary traveler who has walked too long under the scorching sun of secular demands. The healing here is found in the disappearance of the lonely self into the majestic us. As the fourth song unfolds, it takes the shape of a deep subterranean water, flowing beneath the crypts where the martyrs rest in silent vigil. This is the hymn of the baptismal font, the cold plunge into the mystery of rebirth, where the grime of the world is sloughed off like a dead skin. The rhythm is syncopated and fluid, mimicking the ebb and flow of a tide that obeys a lunar grace. We cannot see, but can only feel in the rising of our blood. It is a song for the thirsty, whose throats have been parched by the salt of their own tears, and it offers a vintage that does not intoxicate, but clarifies the mind until the path ahead is visible through the mist of the valley. The fifth movement is the golden song of the monstrance, a radiance that vibrates at a frequency higher than the human ear can register, but which the marrow of the bone understands perfectly. It is the music of the center of the universe, pulling every stray thought back to its origin. The choir whispers the syllables of ancient Latin, not as dead words, but as living seeds planted in the fallow ground of the heart. This is the medicine of presence, where the healing occurs simply by standing still in the light of the invisible King. There is a weightiness to this hope, a gravity that anchors the drifting spirit to the bedrock of a promise made before the foundations of the stars were laid. In the sixth canticle, we hear the sound of the thurible swinging on its silver chains, a rhythmic clinking that accompanies the rising smoke of the frankincense. The music becomes atmospheric and ethereal, as if the prayers are being carried upward on the backs of angels. This is the hymn of the ascent, the healing of the vertical relationship, where the bent back of the sinner begins to straighten. We are no longer looking at the dust of our origin, but at the constellations of our destination. The lyrics are a tapestry of psalms woven into a modern urgency, asking for the strength to climb the mountain of the Lord, with clean hands and a heart that has been scrubbed by the rough wool of penance. The seventh song is the most difficult for it. It's the song of the great silence, after the final chord has diminished into the rafters. It is the healing of the ear that has been deafened by the cacophony of the world's demands. In this hollowed out space, the hope is a quiet ember glowing in the dark of a Saturday vigil. It is the patient waiting for the stone to roll away. The confidence, the desperation. The choir breathes in unison, the rhythmic sigh, the rhythmic sigh. The choir breathes in unison, but with the compunction of every past. The choir breathes in unison, the choir breathes in unison. The choir breathes in unison, the choir breathes in unison. The choir breathes in unison, the choir breathes. The amber light of 7 o'clock descends through the clerestory glass, casting long and leaning shadows across the well-worn oak of the pews, where the faithful gather in the hushed gravity of the Lord's day's end. There is a specific scent to this hour, a mixture of extinguished beeswax, the faint metallic tang of the thuribal's lingering ghost, and the damp wool of coats worn by those who seek a final sanctuary before the secular week begins its relentless march. The choir stands in the loft, their breath a collective petition, preparing to weave the melodies of McGargill and the ancient echoes of the servant's heart into a tapestry that's the silence of the sanctuary with the noise of the world outside. Here, the rosary is not merely a string of beads, but a rhythmic pulse, a tactile map of sorrows and glories that we trace with calloused thumbs, seeking the mother's hand in the gathering twilight of the nave. Will you permit the bending of the knee to be more than a ritual motion, a true descent into the dust where the feet of the weary rest, heavy with the grime of the road in this late hour? The Sunday 7 p.m. choir sings not for the applause of the crowd, but for the solace of the broken, their voices lifting the heavy weight of the servant's song, as if it were a shared mantle of indigo silk. We are pilgrims of the evening, travelers who find our home in the cadence of a brother's voice and the steady resonance of a sister's prayer, understanding that to lead is to follow, and to possess, to surrender everything at the foot of the cross. The music swells, rising like incense toward the vaulted ceiling, carrying the names of the forgotten and the burdens of the heavy laden into the heart of the Immaculate, who stood beneath the wood of sacrifice with the silent, piercing grace. Between the decades of the rosary, the silence breathes a profound and hollow space, where the spirit of Mary's feet takes root in the marrow of our bones, asking if we too can say yes to the unknown and the arduous. The hymn is over the chasm of our own selfishness, a structural grace that demands we look into the eyes of the stranger and see the reflection of the Christ who washed the feet of those who would soon desert him. It is a song of radical hospitality, a liturgical embrace that defies the cold indifference of the city streets, murmuring just beyond the heavy bronze doors of the narthex. We sing of being the light for one another, not a blinding glare of judgment, but the soft, flickering glow of a votive candle that guides a stumbling footstep through the thicket of a Tuesday's despair or Wednesday's loneliness. The 7 p.m. choir understands the exhaustion of the laborer and the quiet desperation of the seeker, for they too have navigated the complexities of the passing week and bring their fatigue as an offering to the is an architecture of mercy, built note by note upon the foundation of Megarjo's vision, where the servant is the master of love, and the master is the servant of all. Each word of the lyrics is a seed planted in the fertile dark of the Sabbath evening, watered by the tears of the penitent and warmed by the communal fire of the Eucharist. We are weaving our lives into the mysteries of the Rosary, finding our own trials in the Garden of Gethsemane, and our own small triumphs in the light of the resurrection, all while the clock ticks toward the midnight that marks the end of our rest. Let the melody be a balm for the spirit that has forgotten how to weep, a gentle rain that softens the parched earth of a heart hardened by the cynicism of the age. As the final verses of the servant song rise to meet the shadows of the choir loft, there is a sense of a circle closing a holy enclosure, where the Marian devotion of the Rosary meets the active ministry of the disciple. We are being sent forth, not as individuals isolated in our own concerns, but as a body knitted together by the recurring themes of grace and the shared breath of this late-night liturgy. The incense is faded, the candles are trimmed to their wicks, and the silence returns to the stone walls, but the song remains, an indelible mark upon the soul that whispers of the beauty found in serving, the strength found in kneeling, and the peace found in the shadow of the Mother of Sorrows. Beneath the gaze of the stained glass saints, the choir ascends the narrow stairs, the sheet music tucked away like hidden treasures, while the last echoes of the Sunday hymn vibrate in the cooling air of the cathedral. This is the hour of transition, where the sacred and the mundane collide, and the servant's promise must be lived out in the marketplace and the home. The Rosary's rhythm stays in the pulse, a drumbeat of Av that sustains the spirit when the music stops and the lights are finally dimmed. We walk out into the cool night air, transformed by the gravity of the 7 p.m. prayer, carrying the quiet majesty of the Catholic hymn into the dark.
The great pipes groan with the weight of ancient stone, inhaling the dust of centuries to exhale the breath of the living word. Under the vaulted ribs of the nave, the diapason swells, a thundering heartbeat that precedes the first footfall of the faithful. It is the melody of Bunnison, a tune forged in the mist of the Hebrides, rising now like a slow-burning sun over the granite altar. The organist pulls the stops of history, and the music becomes a physical architecture, a sanctuary made of air and vibration, where the spirit may finally unbuckle its heavy armor. Here, the silence is not an absence, but a preparation, a clearing of the inner thicket, so that the word may walk among the trees of our thoughts. Christ be the compass when the needle of the soul spins wildly in the magnetic storm of the world beside me. He